Cllr Brid.
I just want to ask the councillors who are proposing this budget what they see is going to be, in reality, very different from people out there who we deal with. I mean, I know there's arguments about, well, the cleansing will improve, the footpaths will improve, but look at the paltry sums of money that are going to improve a crisis in cleansing, in maintenance of footpaths. And then look at when they say no services will be cut. Well, the service you get in Dublin City Council, if you're a tenant, for example, you're 12 years waiting for your windows to be replaced. 12 years, because there's no workers in the workshops, there's a huge demand on them, there's a huge pressure. So when you boast about we're not cutting services, isn't that marvellous? Because the services are pretty crap as they are. All of our water infrastructure, 2.1 billion, has been handed over to a completely discredited entity, which has seen an almost revolutionary type situation in this country in the last few weeks. And based on that, when you think back to the local elections, look around this chamber, look at the amount of brand new councillors from alternative parties, from left-wing independents, look at the rise of Sinn Fein, look at we've increased ourselves fivefold here in people before profit. What was all that about? That was about the ordinary people voicing their opposition to the agenda of property tax, of water charges, of double taxation, and the only place they could do was at the polls in the local elections. Now, I have listened to all of the proposers of the budget make their defences of it, except so far for Kieran Cuff. I looked through the names. Dermot Lacey, no surprise at all. Rory McGinley, no surprise at all, former Fine Gaeler. Kieran Cuff, no surprise at all. The Green Party, after all, were in power with Fianna Fáil. Seamus McGrattan of Sinn Fein, I'm shocked. What does Sinn Fein hope to get out of supporting a budget that is based on a contingent of the implementation of the local property tax, when for them this was supposed to be a red line issue? I am shocked. I think that you're really playing a very dangerous game, even from your own point of view, because we are facing a huge revolt over the other double taxation, which is the water charges, and we could be facing an earlier general election. This, for you guys, was a red line issue. Now you're proposing, and are proud to propose, a budget that's totally contingent on it. I think that you need to rethink this, and therefore I would ask the Sinn Féin councillors, whom I work very closely with on many campaigns, locally and nationally, to rethink this and to vote with our amendment, which says postpone the decision on this budget tonight. The amendment is being proposed by, I think, John Lyons here. It's on the basis that we don't have full clarity on the housing budget. But at least if you go along with that, rethink it, go back to the drawing board and rethink your decision on this, because I do think that this is, I don't understand why you are doing it. I think this is a step in the wrong direction for all of us, and I'm particularly appealing to you because I don't want to see this budget passed. And I do want to see a situation where, together, we can put it up to the government to stop this austerity on the ordinary people and to put the burden of taxation back on the likes of the IFSC, that this council should be able to introduce a punitive tax on, where 2.7 trillion is going through every year in financial speculation and they get away without even paying the proper corporation tax. We need to rebalance our thinking in what is justice and what is fairness in this society.
There's 13 speakers left, so Councillor John Lyons.
Mayor, I just want to quote from a meeting we had here 2 months ago in relation to the motion that was passed calling for not only the 15% reduction in the LPT but also its abolition. And the quote is, in relation to the LPT, "It's an inequitable and unfair tax that takes no account of one's ability to pay." Now, that was the leader of the Sinn Féin group here in the Council. And I fully and wholeheartedly agree that it is inequitable and unfair. But what this budget represents, to my mind, and other speakers have touched upon it, this is a rubber stamping of austerity by way of normalising the LPT, the local property tax, one of the biggest, harshest measures that people in this country have had to face since the outbreak and bailing out the banks in 2008. And I have to say, this budget it's a huge disappointment. It represents a continuation of austerity and the old style of politics, funding cuts from central government and politically shoddy coalitions which lack the vision and courage required to bring about real change. The people of Dublin, as Brid Smith said, they sent a clear message to the political establishment back in May's local and European elections. People are exhausted from austerity, tired of the lies and duplicity of the mainstream political parties, Labour, the Greens, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, the lot of them. People voted for real change by electing new and radical councillors in huge numbers. We have a responsibility, and I say this very clearly, and I am, like Brid, confused and at a loss as to why Sinn Fein are proposing this budget. We have a responsibility and a duty to those people to fight for an alternative budget, a budget that funds the city's local services adequately, a budget that raises finance by targeting the profits of big business, a budget that targets all of the monies owed to the city in development levies and funds a massive housing and homelessness crisis that this city faces. That's the kind of budget I would be proud to propose and stand by. That is not what we're faced with tonight, and that's why I'm wholeheartedly rejecting it. And I would put forward my motion that we do delay voting on this budget for the full 14 days so that Sinn Féin councillors have the time to reconsider their position on this budget. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Kieran Cuff.